Roger Stone here for Colonial Metals Group. Colonial Metals Group helps Americans protect their future with the most trusted store of wealth in human history. That's actual physical gold and silver. If you're retiring or you're retired, go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/stone right now for your free Roger Stone Colonial Metals Group Retirement Protection Kit, or call 800-747-6589. That's 800-747-6589. Call now to receive your free home safe and up to $7,500 in free silver.
A common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Cats and Cosby on 77 WABC.
And today, the 13 families who lost loved ones at Abbey Gate, they were honored with the Congressional Gold Medal. And they heard for the first time, sorry, they were apologized to on behalf of Congress. It was a powerful moment. Brought me to tears when I saw it. And joining us now is KT McFarland, former Deputy Security Advisor under President Trump. We also have with us in studio, in addition to, of course, John and the judge and Craig Eaton, we also have another Deputy National Security Advisor under President Trump, the great Victoria Coates. We say we have the dynamic duo today. So this is so great, KT. Your thoughts about how important, first of all, talking about Afghanistan tonight, because she said she was the last one in the room, Kamala Harris, and she said she was happy with the way it was conducted. I don't think happy is a way to describe what happened. It was pathetic, and I think it hurt America in a big, big way.
Well, and because it's tomorrow, September 11th. The 2 points, the contrast between September 11th and then September 11th, 20 years later, was after the Afghanistan withdrawal, and to show the incompetence of the Biden administration. But that should be just the opening salvo of their incompetence in foreign policy. Talk about, we now have war in the Middle East. Under President Trump, we had peace in the Middle East with the Abraham Accords. We now have a war in Ukraine. Under President Trump, Putin stayed in his box. We now have China, which is pushing the United States and Asia and all around the world. Well, when President Trump was president, we beat China in a trade war. So all of those things, I think Afghanistan could be the opening to just one after another, the critique of the incompetence of the Biden administration, as well as the open border.
Victoria, before I bring you in, I want to bring up, this was a bombshell that came out today, and this was on the House report. And I'm curious to get both of your reactions actually on this. It came out that, among the equipment that was left behind, the billions of dollars of U.S. military equipment, was this technology. It was biometric, devices that show fingerprints, and you're able to ID. They were able to use it to biometrically ID the allies to the United States. Can you imagine what happened to them after America pulled out and the Taliban got a handle on them? How devastating, and what does this say about this administration that they would leave something like that behind, KT?
Well, it just gives the Taliban a kill list. It was just, here are the people that cooperated with the United States. America's left them behind. Go get them. And here's how you find them. And here's how you identify them. I mean, it's just one thing after another of complete incompetence, followed by who cares? I think that's the thing that's so appalling.
Yeah, from them. You're right. That's the message, right? Who
cares? Who cares? This is old news. People died. It wasn't really our fault. We've moved on. Joyful. And so what it does, though, is, the people who are watching tonight, it's not just the United States that's watching. The world is watching this debate. And I hope President Trump is terrific. He's a great debater. I prepped him for all of his debates when he was running in 2016. He will be a stark contrast to her, because President Trump doesn't like to over-prepare for debates. He likes to be spontaneous. And so there's nothing canned about him. She, on the other hand, will have completely scripted remarks. She'll even have a scripted laugh of when she should chuckle. And the contrast between who you're really going to trust, the one who's completely scripted or the one who understands you have to meet the crisis of the moment. But all this is interesting, but I think the most important thing he can do is just hammer to the American people, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? If you are, vote for her. If you're not, if you're paying, way too much at the gas tanks, if your heating bills are too high, if you're worried about your schools, if your streets are unsafe, then vote for me.
Yeah, good point, Victoria Coates.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, keep it simple, right.
And if this even comes up, KT, and good to hear your voice, I mean, I think the key thing is that President Trump insisted in all of those negotiations everyone's talking about when he was trying to talk to the Taliban to get out of Afghanistan, because of course nobody wanted to stay in Afghanistan any longer. But he insisted every last hammer should come back. Not anything should remain behind. And that drove the DOD crazy, because they, of course, wanted to leave it behind because it's cheaper to leave it behind. But he knew this was going to come up. But I also wanted to ask you, you raised the Abraham Accords, and we're going to have 3 weeks after the anniversary of the Abraham Accords, which is this Saturday, right after 9/11. We have September 14th. 3 weeks later, we're going to have October 7th. What are your fears that if Kamala Harris is elected president and puts in her team, we're going to be looking at another October 7th?
Oh, I think it'll be worse. I think that Kamala Harris is going to abandon Israel. She's made it pretty clear that she has a two-state solution, and it's not a two-state solution in the Middle East. It's a two-state solution in the Middle West. And she's going to back the Muslim voting population in Minnesota and Michigan. She wants their votes, and she's willing to sacrifice Israel for it. And, there are consequences to elections. And the consequence is that she doesn't care about Israel. She doesn't care about the American hostages that there are. She won't even talk about them. And yet she proudly says that she's the last person in the room. I'm the one that Joe really consulted when he had to make the tough choices. But if Kamala Harris becomes President Kamala Harris, I do think that the security and survival of the state of Israel is in question. She'll back away from them. She'll slow walk any weapons delivery to Israel, which Israel desperately needs American weapons, because Israel's a small country. It can't make its own weapons or all of its own weapons. And if there's a bit of daylight between the United States and Israel, Iran just will go after Israel, knowing that the United States is not going to have Israel's back. And that's the end of Israel.
Victoria.
Well, and would you even say this is a big problem for the United States? Because we have these people on our streets, on our campuses. They're here. They're dragging down American flags in front of Union Station and replacing them with Palestinian
and
flags.
Hamas flags. I mean, they're waving Hamas flags in some places, right?
How much is that a domestic national security concern, KT?
But don't you think that open border for all these years has been a ticking time? We don't know who's here. The Democrats think they're going to get 12 million new Democrat voters and therefore have a permanent majority, a single-party rule in the United States. But they haven't thought through the consequences of this, because they may have had 12 million illegals coming, but how many people have come in who aren't just looking for a job, aren't just looking for something to do and better their life and for their families? How many have come in who are looking to cause internal dissent and internal problems in the United States, attacks in the United States? It's a fifth column. And fifth columns, whether it was in World War I or World War II or today, are the ones you fear the most, because they destroy a country from within.
Wow, that is really powerful. KT McFarland, thank you. Really great to have you, and also Victoria, who's staying with us here in studio.
You got a woman panel.
I know it is. Wonder Women, plural. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
KT, thank you so much. We love you.